accused of stealing my ex-husband from his fiancée. Plus update. Original post. My ex-husband, male 40 and I, female 41, separated 4 years ago. It was I who asked for the divorce, but we had a lot of problems and we both knew that we weren't compatible anymore. My biggest issue was that he never was there for me, nor was he understanding. It was after our daughter, female 6, was born. He never helped me and he just went on life like it was before she was born. Nothing was the same after our daughter was born, of course, and I couldn't reach him. We fought all the time. I was suffering from depression and weight gain, and I felt awful about myself. I probably wasn't easy to handle either. The divorce was amicable, and he proved all my worries wrong that he would neglect our daughter, since it felt like he wasn't willing to adapt to his new role as a father after her birth. But no, I was happy that he proved me wrong and that he turned out to be a great father to our daughter. But at the same time, I wish he would have stepped up earlier when we were still together. He started seeing his fiancée, female 31, about 3 years ago. This killed me because I still loved him very much. But I wanted to be happy for him for our daughter's sake, so I pretended I was just that. After a while, he introduced her to my daughter and she seemed to be nice. And she was very good with my daughter and loved her. And my daughter seemed to really like her, so I was at least relieved that she is a good person who cared about my child. I never told anyone about my feelings and regrets, but kept it to myself because it is my own doing, and now I take the responsibility. About 6 months ago, when my ex was dropping off our daughter, he told me that he was engaged. I felt like I wanted to pass out, and I don't even remember how I managed to pull myself together and put on a smile to congratulate him. I cried for weeks afterwards. I didn't even know what I was expecting, but I was devastated. A few weeks after, I met my ex-husband's sister at the grocery store and she asked me how I felt. I felt my tears welling up, and all she needed to do was to hold my hand for me to burst out crying. She asked me if I still loved him, and I tried to act happy for his sake, but she probably wasn't convinced. My ex was a bit changed afterwards, and at first I thought I was imagining things. While we've always been cordial towards each other, he was more chatty now and he made excuses to stay longer during drop-offs. And even a couple of times, I thought that he made sure to arrive around dinner to ask if he could stay because he was hungry. Then a few weeks later, the sister showed up at my place with my ex-husband, and she told us that we needed to talk. He said that he never knew that I still loved him, and that he still loved me too. If he knew, he would never have tried to move on. Later I heard that he ended his engagement. His mother called me, even before I knew he had ended his engagement, to tell me that I was the a-hole for ruining his happiness. That I broke his heart, and now I waited for him to find a good woman who could give him a good future, a better future with more children, to just pick him up again. Also, his fiancée sent me many DMs calling me an old witch who was using my daughter and his love for her to take him. That I'm pathetic and desperate, and he only thinks about our daughter. I feel bad because his ex has been nothing but good towards me, and she lost 3 years on him. Am I the a-hole? I didn't answer the ex-fiancé and I haven't spoken to him yet. He is asking me out on dates and is talking about counseling so we don't make same mistakes again. I feel so guilty. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Well, communication for the win. His suggestion of counseling is a good one. You can both learn to, like his sister, get to the heart of the issue. I wouldn't feel guilty if I were you. Feel badly for his ex? Sure. And speaking of communicating, your ex needs to do that with his mother if you are going to pursue this new improved relationship with your ex. And he needs to be direct and succinct. It would have been better if the communication won before the divorce, but better late than never, I guess. OP, I think you two need to have a coffee date to set the rules going forward. Agree to counseling then, and make sure the first session happens before any further dates. And no telling your daughter anything before you two are 100% sure it is real. Don't go getting her hopes up, only to split up again, especially if she really liked the ex-fiancé. She has been through enough negativity because of the decisions made by her parents. Please minimize any further hurt. During those counseling sessions, make sure you tell him what you wrote here. That the reason you asked for a divorce was because he let you down by making you feel like a single mother with no help, and that you felt he wasn't ready for parenthood because he never stepped up and showed you otherwise until the divorce forced him to. Please don't let communication break down again. Even if you two don't get back together, the therapy is still a good idea for you two to learn how to parent as a team, for your daughter's sake. I don't think you did anything wrong. Had his sister not asked you that specific question, you probably would have took it to the grave and let him move on. Come to find, it felt the same. It was fate, babe. He did the right thing and ended it with her, and is now trying to move forward with you. That's amazing and so healthy. You both have grown and see your mistakes. Now you can start something new with each other. Go for it. Wishing you all the best. You can bottle up your emotions for only so long. Ex-sister-in-law pulled a pin and your feelings exploded. In no way is that your fault. Ex-fiancé is hurting and lashing out. That's understandable. Acceptable? No. But she deserves a little leeway for now. Eventually, she will realize that she dodged a bullet. No self-respecting woman wants to be the second fiddle to a man's true love, which seems to be you. Mother-in-law needs to watch herself. Apparently, she has forgotten that you're still the mother of her grandchild. She keeps wagging that vicious tongue and she's not going to like the consequences. You need to put a stop to that immediately. That BS can easily carry over to your daughter. Hopefully, some time and a whole lot of healing will resolve the hurts and broken hearts. Take your time venturing forward and make sure this is definitely what you want. Yep, ex-fiancé is clearly upset now, but she will soon realize that it's better the wedding was called off earlier and she didn't need to go through a messy divorce or feel like a third wheel in her own marriage. Now for the update. Thank you all for your support. I didn't expect the majority to be on my side and I want to make a little update. My ex-husband has been spending more time with me, often without the knowledge of our daughter, because we don't want to confuse her in case this doesn't work out. I love him so much, so I don't know why I'm so terrified. We have also had a couple of therapy sessions together to talk. We will continue with therapy. My husband's sister has been the one taking care of our daughter when we are seeing each other. We go on walks, dinner dates, and therapy. On Christmas, he spent the day with us. There were some problems because he was supposed to celebrate with his parents, my daughter and his sister and her family. Mother-in-law refused to include me, so he ended up asking me if we could celebrate at my place. Sister-in-law chose to celebrate with us instead. I had my sister and her family too. Our daughter was very happy about this, since he has been staying for dinner a few days a week with our daughter. We are frightened about how to proceed. I am afraid to mess up my daughter. Our plan is for him to move in with us or that we move to a new house together as a fresh start. Only problem is that my husband's ex refuses to leave his apartment, and we are gonna need to sell both properties to be able to have one bigger house to a new start. What do you think? Are we hurting our daughter? Anyone here who is or has been in the same situation and can tell me what children think about their parents be together after growing up with them apart? Are we taking it slowly enough? Info, how old is your daughter? Does she remember a point in her life when y'all were together? Was she aware and knowledgeable when y'all split the first time? She is 6. No, she doesn't remember us being a family. She was 20 months old when her dad and I separated. This is good then. Given her age, she doesn't really have a firm grasp on what normal would be, and probably doesn't comprehend how different your relationship before was versus now, versus in the future when y'all potentially move in together. Since she won't have anything to compare it to, you should be able to keep it a pleasant experience for her. I'd recommend not delving into the relationship terms. No 6-year-old really understands what dating or monogamous, boyfriend, or even relationship is. Keep it in terms she naturally understands. Like mom and dad are spending more time together. Dad's gonna start coming over for dinner more often. If you're both 100% sure you're getting back together and want to stay in your house or get a new house, ask your daughter. Would you like to move to a new house? Would you like daddy to be with us? I see no harm in asking your daughter her feelings on the situation now. I'm not saying give her your full history, but getting her feelings and thoughts out there. She may have questions, and letting her know that she can ask anything and that all her feelings are valid may also make you and your partner feel a bit better moving forward. But if you both don't know or ask your daughter, you may be going slower than necessary. From my point of view, if you and your partner are both together with your daughter in a happy household, and your daughter is happy when you're both around, don't panic too much. You can always have mommy/daddy-daughter days out, as she is probably used to that from when you were separated. And it'll be a fun thing for her to have all the attention of just one parent for the day. I think a new house would be a lovely adventure for you all sort of stamp a new life. Make fun plans to travel and never stop communicating. Have relaxed conversations, cuddle up about thoughts and feelings, make sure you're both doing all you can so you both feel validated. This is a second chance. Grab it with both hands. I can imagine there will be drama from his mother and ex, so this is the time where you both need to be strong together and make sure you both work as a team to deal with it together. Good luck. If I ask my daughter, she would be more than thrilled. The times her father stays for dinner, she is just so happy. She almost lives with me full-time now, because he rents a room since his ex still refuses to leave his apartment. She has her own apartment, but still wouldn't leave his. I guess we are both terrified of moving forward, because we don't want to hurt our daughter. Isn't it manipulative if I ask her if daddy can move in when she knows that I want him to? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking things. The therapist said as much. We do a lot of family activities together now. The three of us, and she enjoys it very much. I don't know. This whole thing's only have been 8 months since he proposed to his ex, to us trying to reconcile. Maybe stay like this for a few more months with a few more therapy sessions. Last story. My sister slept with my boyfriend and I sent her a really cruel message that I don't regret at all. Sorry, but this post will have a lot of bad energy, and I'm terrible at writing in English, so if anyone is going to read a post, I'm sorry for all the errors that are likely to be in a post. So a few days ago, I, female 25, found out that my sister, 24 female, has been sleeping with my boyfriend, now ex 25 male, for 1 year or probably more. We dated for 3 years. They always had a close relationship, but I obviously took it as something innocent. I don't like video games, but my sister does. So they talked a lot by text and I thought it was about games they like. Until I found out that no, they talked a lot about their secret dates while I was working and in college. I found pictures, videos, and a lot of other disgusting things in the chats between my ex and my sister. My pathetic sister found pleasure in asking my pathetic ex all the time if she is smarter or prettier than me. She even compared our private parts. What the heck? We're both pretty, but she's actually thinner and prettier than me. And even if she's an introvert, she has her group of friends, so I really don't understand where she got so much venom towards me. Our parents never compared us or anything like that, and she was always the one asking my ex to compare both of us in the chats. The first thing I did was throw all of my ex-boyfriend's things out of the apartment. I insulted him in 1,000 ways, and I kept the PC that I gave him for Christmas. I didn't speak a single word to my sister for over a week, and she didn't contact me like the coward she is. Until yesterday, when she sent me a message trying to justify herself by saying that it was a mistake. Yes, a mistake that lasted more than a year. And that I should forgive her because we're sisters, blah blah blah. At one point I thought, should I be the mature person in this situation who doesn't let resentment speak for her? But then I realized that I've never been that kind of person. I took my phone and wrote a long message to my sister that I would love to write here, but I'm sure that I would break the rules since I called her out in every possible way, and I wrote a lot of personal things too. I told her how much of a failure she is, and how she has always envied me, and that's why she needed to feel what it's like to be me for a second of her sad life. She sent me a voice message crying and saying that she's in a very weak moment mentally, but she's still with him, LMAO, and that I shouldn't make her feel worse and that she regrets it. I just reacted to her message with cry laugh emoji. I didn't even hear the long voice message until the end. Was it a low thing to attack her with all her flaws? Yes. But it's lower to betray your sister and believe that she's going to forgive you just because you share blood with her. Honestly, I feel really good after sending her that message and feel that it was therapeutic to take out everything I feel to give closure to that. By the way, I've never used a PC for gaming, but I'm looking for tutorials on YouTube about how to download The Sims. I helped my sister in every moment of her life. I literally fought for her when she was being bullied during high school. I helped her thousands of times to make friends. I even accompanied her everywhere she wanted. It is a betrayal that really hurts, and I will never forgive. Never. It hurts me that she slept with someone I loved, but it hurts me a lot all the things I read in those chats. How she enjoyed watching him compare me to her, or how she asked him about personal things about our relationship just to laugh at it. She's dead to me, and my parents knows it. I don't even care if I'm a bad person like them. This is something I can't forgive, and I don't even feel bad for my reaction. What do your parents have to say about this mess? How is she justifying a year of cheating with her sister's boyfriend and keeping him? My mother was disgusted, and my father was angry, but they only comforted me until I left their house. I don't know what they talked to my sister about afterwards, and I don't want to ask, but they will probably cut contact with her. She just said that it was a mistake, and in a voice message, she only talked about how weak she feels mentally and that she has been having anxiety attacks. Even though I didn't hear the full audio because it lasts 4+ minutes, and I was getting even more angry with her just wanting to be the victim. So I stopped the audio almost in the end. She never explained why she said all those ugly things about me, because everything was about her having anxiety attacks. I want you to remember how pathetic she is. She's so pathetic that she had to constantly be reassured that she could compete with you. And she can't. They actually are both pathetic, and I'm pretty sure your ex knows he downgraded. And what's the saying? When a mistress becomes the girlfriend/wife, she creates an opening? The body's part got me the most. WTF. Same. She sent her nudes to him saying things like, "Mine is prettier, right?" It's really disgusting. Good for you. Perpetrator only makes themselves a victim when they wanted to. Please inform your parents of the event. Do not let her play victim more and throw you under the bus and back to the bus to hit you more times. Thanks. They already knew everything. Neither of them is on her side, and they respect that I want to cut off all contact with my sister. My parents are really strict, so I think they're going to cut contact with her too. But that's their decision. I don't want to get into that and cause problems. This story has been very therapeutic to hear, after all the awful cheating stories where the parents side with the cheater and everyone takes their side. Good on your parents for having the sense to see your sister as a POS, and good on you for standing up for yourself and standing your ground. Update. Am I the a-hole for ghosting a woman who got pregnant by another guy while just starting to date me? Original post. I, 41 male, was seeing a woman, 32 female. We went out on 5 or 6 dates, then come to find out she had been sleeping with a different guy and got pregnant. And then when I found out, I was the bad guy for abandoning her because she was pregnant. I explained her pregnancy was not the issue. It was the issue of us talking for about a month before she finally had time for a proper date. And over the next 3 months, we managed to go out to 5 or 6 times. But she was sleeping with this guy which she claims was just purely physical and there was no feelings there. And she thought since I was already a dad with custody of my kids and a good job, I could raise this one as my own. Now she's attacking me on social media, claiming I'm abandoning her and the baby and that I'm an a-hole for it. I've requested a DNA test, which I know will come back as not mine, considering we haven't ever been intimate, and she's trying to fight it. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Run! I have no contact with her. She tried to get child support and that's when I requested DNA test. She's been trying to fight the DNA test, but since I requested it, she gets zero money till she can prove it's mine. Lucky for me, I got a good caseworker who won't just give her child support until she proves I'm the father, which won't happen. What a horrible situation for you to be in. I hope it gets resolved quickly. What if she was already pregnant and just wanted someone that could support her and pretend he's the father? This was my take. She just used him to get a guy to pay child support because she knows the real father won't/can't pay. Or there's so many potential father candidates, she doesn't know who is the real father and doesn't want to have to go through the process of finding out through the courts and thought she could lock down OP. I'd honestly sick a lawyer on her. Maybe a strongly worded cease and desist will give her pause. If not, at least you have started a paper trail if her insanity escalates. Not the a-hole. I thought about a lawyer, but the last time I talked to the child support caseworker, she had till the end of February to accept DNA test, or the case was closed. Not about the DNA test, about a defamation. This, OP needs to screenshot everything she's put in social media. This can really bite him in the behind down the line. I've all screenshots and text messages that she sends. Glad you do, but you really need to get a lawyer to deal with the defamation. Getting a rep as a deadbeat will follow you professionally and socially. Don't assume because you've proven to not be the dad or she drops it, that it won't be used against you. You need a decisive action, like a judgment or something else. I agree. After reading the comments, that's my next steps. I hate the excuse that it was only physical. Like, of course it was. It was. It's not like I'm upset that you played chess with a dude or that you watched The Notebook together. People nowadays, especially women who have the ability to be sexually active, any decently attractive woman can have sex extremely easily, as opposed to a decent-looking man. They downplay the act because they want to have their cake and eat it too. They do it because there is little sexual discipline in society, and because they can. They're not thinking of repercussions. Even if you're just dating someone, there's a point where you know it would be messed up if you were to sleep with somebody else. People do it while falling on the excuse that they're not official yet, as if it really changes things when feelings are involved. It's a principal thing. Now for the update. Firstly, I want to say thank you to everyone that commented and helped to direct me on a few paths. I do have an update since I posted this morning. This morning I contacted a lawyer and told him everything, as well as sent overall screenshots and text messages. After contacting my lawyer, he contacted child support office, which after about a 20-minute runaround, he was able to get a case file. He set a hearing with the judge to order said paternity, and after getting the court date to hear said case, he contacted her as a courtesy to let her know that I had retained a lawyer, and that a court case had been set, and some paperwork was being mailed to her address. That was around 10:45 a.m., At 11:15 a.m., my lawyer received a call from child support office that she had changed her story and that she said I wasn't a father, and made the excuse that she messed up and gave the name of the bio dad, which we were not given. My lawyer then called her back. All posts slandering me have been taken down, and a new post has been put up with her claiming chemical imbalance in her body that had her in a fit of rage and was lashing out on someone she shouldn't have. She stated that while she wishes I was the father, that I am not and could not be because we never got intimate. I received a call from my lawyer around 11:30 and was made aware of the post around the same time. Under my lawyer's advice, for now I will not be posting the screenshots or text messages, but at some point I will, because the crazy needs to be seen. Again, thank you to everyone who posted on the original post. Sue her for the lawyer costs. Even if it's just sending her a bill for it, she is more likely not to come back. She needs to pay your legal fees and costs too. I posted in the original that getting a lawyer and not going to trial is the best case scenario. That hasn't changed. OP needs to take the win and pay the lawyer a couple hundred to couple grand for a couple phone calls and a letter or two. I've paid between $200 and $500 for this, but high cost of living area, I could see it being $2,000. Trying to collect is harder than people realize, especially if they have no assets and a kid. So long as the posts come down, OP needs to just move on. Suing would be very inadvisable, and turning clear victory into a costly draw or expensive loss. But if OP wants to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, that'd be the recommended way of doing it. To be clear, didn't happen in 30 minutes and times are not exact. Some people try until court is established. She knew she couldn't lie to a judge and get away with it. She also knew when found guilty, she would be responsible for all attorney and court cost. Plus, if she lied in court, she could face jail time. Sometimes just one phone call from attorneys can make things go away. People get away with lying to a judge all the time. Luckily, you had the threat of a paternity test to back you up. Crazy people like this make me laugh. They think that lying and crying in social media will magically make things go their way. The second OP got the courts involved with a DNA test, she backed down. Honestly, what did she expect to happen? OP to step up and pay instead of fight? Guess she went looking in the wrong neighborhood for a sugar daddy. Nothing happens this fast. Within 3 hours of you calling a lawyer, a government agency contacted the mother and she ended up changing her story? Get the F out of here with this bullshit-ass fairy tale. I didn't say a government agency contacted her. I said my lawyer contacted her to tell her about court and papers being served her as a courtesy. She contacted said government agency to change her story, which contacted my attorney that child support against me was being dropped and was going after another gentleman. Said she acknowledged the denial of paternity that I had signed. Just think what it was like before DNA tests. Back in the day, women got into more trouble for having kids out of wedlock. So at least the unmarried young ladies often had their babies in hiding and gave them up for adoption. Trying to falsely accuse somebody would often misfire on them and give them a scarlet letter. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to abort my child? I, female 32, have 3 boys and currently pregnant. All children share the same dad, male 37. He had a 2-year-long affair to a 22 female who's now his current fiancée we'll call Amy. We got divorced and he left everything to me so he'd have no contact or responsibility over our children. Amy was furious. However, after the divorce, I found out I was pregnant. I told him and he said it was my issue, not his, and he was high please. To which I kept the pregnancy but he didn't tell Amy. I found out she was pregnant with a girl, to which my ex-father-in-law said she'd be the 5th grandchild at her baby shower as they knew about my baby. And from what I was told, she lost her mind. From that day, she had been stalking my social media and found out I too was having a girl. She contacted me to demand I terminate my pregnancy, as it wasn't fair I gave my access for his daughter as well as sons. I blocked and screenshotted the messages. The following day, my ex-in-laws come to see the kids. We had a good relationship up until this point, and said that I should have an abortion as I've got my hands full with my boys. So I questioned them if it had anything to do with their son's new partner, to which my ex-mother-in-law said no. However, my ex-father-in-law told her not to lie, and he had no part to play in this. Apparently, she had been kicking up a fuss from the minute she knew both me and herself were pregnant with girls, and that I'd be giving birth first, as if it was some sort of competition. I told them she has the issue, not me, and probably a mental health issue or two. My ex-father-in-law laughed, and my ex-mother-in-law screamed at me and left. Ex-mother-in-law told Amy what I had said and plastered it all over social media. Many found it hilarious and agreed she was in the wrong. However, some disagreed and said I should terminate my child, and have been sent constant messages from her and her family/friends, etc., which I've blocked, but they keep making fake accounts. Am I really the a-hole? I know I'm not, but I just want to gather people's thoughts/opinions. Throwaway due to her being a psychopath and knowing all my social media. Now for the top comments. What am I even reading? Be petty AF and tell Amy you will always be first. First wife, first to have children, first to have a daughter, and first to drop the dead weight. The only thing she has accomplished first is making a vacancy for a mistress. I laughed way harder than I should have at that. Who in the world has the right to tell you to abort your child, your first daughter? Get away from these banjo pickers. They are surely mentally deficient. I'm sorry for your children to have such whacked out paternal relatives. Amy's too young to realize that history repeats itself. Karma will see her soon. Funny thing is, he's already cheated on her 3 times without her realizing. How has she not realized it though? Had nobody told her? She's as thick as 2 planks, and she's obsessed with my life, so she neglects and ignores her own. How do you know he's cheated on her? Through either social media with mutual friends or father-in-law. You're mature enough to know that you don't need to cater to a 22-year-old's immature tantrums, right? She can go eat rocks. Have your baby if that is what you want and you can support her. I would limit contact with the ex-mother-in-law as well. Block, block, block all around and be happy. Not the a-hole. Right? Your first sentence hit the nail right on the head. Why is OP seriously asking if she's wrong for not aborting her child because her ex's 22-year-old affair partner told her to? Good grief. Not the a-hole. Block all those a-holes who think they can have a say in this ridiculous matter. It's your baby. It's your decision. It's shocking that even ex-mother-in-law is siding with the immature 22-year-old. If it was around the same due date, Amy would have made a tantrum at a hospital to have the baby delivered first. Yes, I'm sure she would, because Amy is a child who thinks she's competing with a former wife. Not only is the ex-husband a cheating a-hole, but a predator. The wife is well rid of him. Last story. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my husband? I've been married for more than 2 decades to my husband. In all of the time we have been together, he only held a job for the first 9 years. Wasn't successful in finding work after that. Because he was unemployed, he was able to take care of his dad and another relative while they were dying. One got sick right after the other passed. I took care of our kid, paid all the bills and all child-related expenses. I've also done the majority of the housework the entirety of our marriage. I feel like I have 2 kids, not a partner. Once both had passed away, my unemployed husband inherited a decent estate, and now his income is more than I earn working. We are drowning in debt because my salary was not enough to sustain us. Once the estates were settled, he put everything in a different bank and did not include me in any of it. He set up a trust for our 1 child, and I'm only aware of that because law dictates due to them being a minor. I had to demand a copy of our income taxes. He didn't want me to have them. That's how I discovered his inheritance income is more than I make. He refuses to help with the bills. He said all of the debt is my fault and I need to pay it off alone. While unemployed, he contributed nothing for the bills or child-related expenses. Over the last 5 years, our relationship has become untenable. The resentment I feel isn't going to resolve. I picked up a second job for a few years and wasn't able to do the housework. He didn't step up, and now the house looks like a hoarder lives here. I'm trying to catch up while working 50 hours a week. It's slow going. I know he hasn't treated mental illness and is probably a hoarder. He has no family other than myself and our child. I've contacted a lawyer and I'm ready to start proceedings. However, I feel this enormous guilt for wanting a divorce. I know it's not rational because he won't get any help. But it's there and I'm having trouble working up the courage to kick him out. I'm hoping for an amicable split, so he can still participate in holiday stuff with my family and isn't alone. I love him, but cannot live like this anymore. If you divorce, you may be able to force him to settle his half of your marital debts. That's reason enough to offload this parasite. Not the a-hole. Be free. He should absolutely be on the line for half of those marital debts. OP physically and financially took care of both her husband and his child, and in doing that, allowed him to care for the family members who left the inheritance. I hope a judge would see how incredibly unfair this all is, and not allow the husband to just walk away with zero liability. Debt occurred while being married is considered marital debt, which will be split evenly. I'm not sure what your state laws state about inheritance, but if it's like many states, it is the same as winning the lottery. She's entitled to half. If he hides it during the divorce, the judge can award her all of the money if they see fit, for not disclosing it because he gained the money while married. Not the a-hole. Sounds like he hasn't been pulling his fair share. Like you said, it's supposed to be a partnership. You could give him an ultimatum first, like either you start chipping in or I'm leaving you. But definitely not the a-hole. Not trying to be offensive, but I'm dealing with a similar situation with my brother and sister-in-law. My brother is a flake and has been living off of my sister-in-law's income for a very long time. Anyway, at issue is that you have enabled him, and he's going to fight like hell to not take responsibility for himself. I would definitely contact a lawyer ASAP. Hold on to any documents you have. Write emails to him as often as possible so you can have written responses. And be prepared to dig on your heels. You've already felt sorry enough for him. He needs to grow the heck up. Yeah, kick your brother and kick out your sister-in-law for gouging your food income. Give them a legit eviction notice for 30 days. Not the a-hole. I would divorce him just to offload half of the marital debt. If you own a house, force him to buy your half of the equity and try for alimony on top of child support. Take your kid and leave him in his hoarder home. This marriage has been doomed since he lost his job. If he inherited such a sizable estate from his dad and the relatives he cared for, it means those relatives were wealthy enough to pay him for that care so that he could help support his family. He and they chose not to do that. So it was always his plan to work you to death or until you bailed. He is a sick, selfish sob. Would I be the a-hole for refusing to raise my brother's kids? When I, female 20, was 6, my parents died. And since my brother Alan was of age at 19, he became a legal guardian. He dumped me at a foster home a couple of months after the funeral and disappeared. And that's where I stayed until my aunt found me. He didn't bother reaching out until one day when I was 9 when he brought his 2-year-old daughter to my aunt's house and disappeared again. I'm very close with her. She knows I'm her aunt, but we consider each other sisters. When I turned 18, I got access to my trust. I also got a house in Amsterdam, which is where I was born and raised until my parents passed. I traveled to see the house in mid-2022 and I loved it, so I decided to move back there. I didn't want to be separated from Mia, my niece/sister, female 13, so I moved with my whole family, Mia, aunt and uncle. My brother found out I'm back in Amsterdam. He is now poor as he spent all his money on stupid things. He has been reaching out nonstop asking for money, but I ignored him. Then he came to my house with his wife and 3 children. My brother says it's mean of me to only take care of one of his children and not the rest. I told him to get a job, but he said he has a criminal record and his wife is disabled. He wants a monthly allowance to support his family and to share the house with them as they live poorly. The truth is, I feel nothing for him. He is not my family. Me and my aunt and uncle are. Yesterday I was out, and my aunt called saying he left his kids outside our house. I don't want them in my house nor my life. I feel nothing for them. Mia is also very uncomfortable with them in the house and says she doesn't want to have to help raise them, and she doesn't consider them siblings. My conscience won't let me abandon them at a foster home like my brother did to me. But my aunt and uncle are now retired and very old, 63 and 64, and aren't able to run after them as they are young kids, 9, 7, and 4. But I also don't want to put my life on hold to raise strangers. The police are looking for my brother and his wife, but if they don't find them, I will look for a nice facility to take them in. I have tried to find it in me to raise them, but I just can't. I cannot imagine putting my life on hold to stay home and play mother with them. Mia doesn't want them in her life either. I've retired my aunt and uncle and they spend their days feeding ducks in the park, and it is unfair to them to raise more kids that aren't their own. I've discussed this with my 3 cousins, kids to my aunt and uncle. 2 of them say I have no duty to these kids and my feelings are valid. But one says I'm an a-hole here as it's my duty to step up and raise them, the same way her parents did. So would I be the a-hole if I refuse to raise them? Now for the top comments. You're barely an adult with 1 kid already. I don't think you'll be the a-hole. Your brother is for sure. Especially if she cares for the children. He will just pop out more children and bring them to her. This will never stop. They aren't her responsibility, and she will just resent them since she was forced to care for them in this way by someone she doesn't even have any family bonds anymore. Not the a-hole, and OP, please call the police if you ever hear from your brother. Maybe give him a "I will give you money," but just if you meet with me one last time to talk, and then if he falls for it, inform the police about it. Not the a-hole. Your aunt and uncle raised his first kid. You didn't agree with raising 3 kids. As for your cousin who is telling you to raise them, ask that cousin if she would raise them with you. I guarantee she will refuse. However, you, Mia, aunt, and uncle should make an effort to be a regular part of their life and be a support system. But it is understandable to not want to / be able to be guardians for any reason. I've decided I will be a part of their life. Mia said absolutely not, but she's still young and might change her mind. I don't want these kids growing up knowing they had family who could have been there for them and weren't. If my aunt never tracked down my brother and forced him to tell her where he left me, who knows where my life would be? But I'm 20. I'm in uni. I'm taking care of the people who took care of me, and I have a teen who's about to enter that rebellious phase. I can't handle them too, and it's tearing me apart. I can afford to set aside some money for them, and I'll try and visit them monthly, wherever they end up. Maybe when I'm older and have settled down more, I'll bring them in. As for now, I'll settle with them perhaps being in a group home where I can visit them or take them out during the day. I can only hope when they get older they'd understand. Next story. Am I the a-hole for grounding my daughter for leaving her sister with a neighbor? I'm the single mom of 3 kids. Polly, 16 female, Trevor, 12 male, and Cassie, 8 female. I have little to no support. Their father left after Cassie was born, no family nearby, etc. I have 2 sitters that I can call on as needed, and I use them before I'd ever ask Polly for help as I don't want her missing out on her teenage years. Before this incident, I only ever asked her to babysit once because I had no one else, and I paid her $15 per hour, above minimum wage at a time. This past Saturday, Polly was due to hang out with some friends. For a couple of days, Trevor was ill but testing negative for COVID. That day, he spiked a very high fever, and I had to take him to the ER. I asked Polly to watch Cassie as the sitters weren't responding. I apologized that she'd have to miss out on time with friends, but said I'd pay her and she could even have her friends over our place. Polly pitched a fit and asked why I couldn't send Cassie to the neighbors. We don't know them. They moved in last month and outside waving when we got our mail. I don't have a relationship with them. Polly was irritated, but I told her I'd pay her $18 per hour and that I had to go. I take Trevor to the ER and we have to wait a bit. Polly kept asking if the sitters responded and they hadn't. Eventually, it was our time to be seen, so I told Polly I'd be out of reach for a bit. Turns out, Trevor had a bad case of RSV, and due to pre-existing health problems, had to be admitted for the night. I was terrified. When I called Polly to update her, I heard people talking in the background and said, "Oh, you had your friends come over?" She told me no. She dropped Cassie at the neighbors and went out. I was furious. I told her to go home and get her sister. And then asked for the neighbor's number. She didn't even ask for it. Which I get teenage logic, but still. At first, Polly refused until I told her she was grounded. I made her FaceTime me when she got home to show that Cassie was with her. Eventually, my mom was able to make a 2-hour drive down to stay with the girls, but I told her not to let Polly leave the house. The next day, Trevor and I were able to go home. I lectured Polly about what she did and grounded her for 2 weeks. She got mad at me and said that I can't expect her to drop her plans. I point out I never do, but this was an emergency, and her brother was sick. She told me that's not her problem. She's also mad because I won't pay her. I apologized profusely to the neighbor who said it was okay, and that he would have called me, but Polly didn't leave my number either. Polly said I overreacted. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Let's get this out of the way. There are a lot of posts on here about forcing teenagers to babysit, and this is most definitely not one of those. This was an extreme situation, emergency even. Polly acted amazingly selfish and irresponsible. She left a young child with strangers and exposed them to an unknown illness as an added bonus. Also, considering how the folks around her were sick, it should be common courtesy / sense to not want to expose her friends as well. She's old enough to fully comprehend how terrible and dangerous her actions were, but instead doubled down on being petulant. Not my kid, but Polly earned a hefty punishment and consequences. She probably did expose them to an unknown illness which later revealed to be RSV. As someone who was a healthy mid-20s adult, got RSV last year and ended up in the hospital overnight, she put that family at risk. RSV / COVID / other illnesses are highly infectious. Not only did she abandon her little sister in an emergency situation, but she could have landed someone else in the hospital. Not the a-hole, and honestly, I'd never be able to trust Polly again. RSV can kill a kid, so God forbid something happened to your son. I don't know how I'll ever be able to trust her again. I never asked her to babysit as it is, but certainly won't ever again. which unfortunately means she wins by acting horribly. Not necessarily. Opie, whenever you need a babysitter, have your oldest stay at home too. That should make it clear that teens who do kids off with strangers aren't old enough to be trusted alone, not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving my step-niece's gift to my niece? My brother remarried a few months ago. His new wife has a daughter, Sarah, who is around the same age as his daughter, Alina. My sister-in-law doesn't have a good job, so Sarah had a pretty tough life. Her birthday was about a week ago, so I decided to buy a laptop for her. I know she needs one for school and they can't afford one. I explained to Alina that I'm giving Sarah a better gift, not because I love her more, but because Alina has everything she needs and Sarah doesn't. And she understood. At Sarah's birthday, I gave her my gift and she seemed very happy. However, I heard her bragging to Alina, telling her I don't love her. Alina kept telling her to shut up, but she kept going and I was furious. I asked Sarah to give the gift back and gave it to Alina. Her laptop was 3 years old, so she could use a new one. I told my brother that he doesn't dare take this away from my niece, and if he does, then he'd better remember to never ask me for any financial help again, which he does regularly. My sister-in-law got extremely angry and called me an a-hole and said I ruined her daughter's birthday. I told her her daughter ruined her own birthday and this punishment is well-deserved. I will never sit here and watch someone bully my niece. My sister-in-law and her daughter think I'm an a-hole, and I believe my brother agrees with them, but he doesn't say anything. Tough one. I think I'm going against the grain here by the looks of it. I think this probably was effective as far as teaching Sarah not to bully someone in front of a gift giver. But this whole situation is likely going to have caused even more resentment from Sarah towards Alina. I'm not sure that you'll have done either girl any favors as far as their relationship goes in the long run. You went out of your way to provide a very generous and thoughtful gift. You spoke with Alina and saw how understanding she was about the differences in need between herself and Sarah. It doesn't sound like, and to correct me, that Sarah's parents were stepping in to mediate the situation. Your gift was used by Sarah as a tool for bullying, saying Opie doesn't love you and the laptop symbolizes that. I think others are right that it was technically wrong to try to retract a gift that had been given, but seeing as that gift was being used to bully someone who you presumably feel protective over, I struggle to fault you for it. There were probably better solutions, but in the heat of the moment, you've removed the catalyst for bullying essentially. Perhaps it would have been better to keep hold of the laptop, rather than re-gift it in front of Sarah though. How old are your nieces? It sounds like they're of an age when they would understand the gravity of their words. I'm going to go not the a-hole for now, but curious to read more of the other perspectives here. Sarah has some important lessons to learn. Her brother and his wife must help her if they're incompetent parents. Maybe she made a mistake giving it to Alina. She wouldn't have caused any girl-on-girl jealousy if she came back, but it's done. Not the a-hole. It's appalling that Sarah isn't grateful and realized how lucky she is to have a new aunt who cares enough to buy her an expensive gift. The bragging just made it worse. Don't gift her anything good until she's learned her lesson, Opie. A lot of YTAs here. That's crazy. Didn't realize that just because her brother got married, she's just supposed to automatically care about these people. She gave the girl a gift. The girl then rubbed the gift in her niece's face to the point of tears. She then took back the gift and gave it to niece. Because why on earth would you want a boy to have a new gift from her? Not the a-hole, Opie. In all honesty, my real niece seems kind of cold, but also is true. You don't have to have a familial connection to in-laws, because that's what they are, in-laws. As in the only thing making you even remotely related is the law. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's wife that she is a stuck-up witch? Context. This involves me, 25, my brother 32 male and his wife 27 female. When my brother met his wife 5 years back, all of us were very welcoming. But soon, it was clear that she wasn't at all interested in being part of the family. Over the past 5 years, she's come to our family get-together like 6 to 7 times. It's always either my brother alone or my brother and my niece, 3 female. Initially, I would try to make plans with her, but she'd always rejected by saying that she doesn't go out much or that she doesn't like shopping or whatever. On a handful of occasions that she's attended our family gatherings, she's been very reserved and quiet, giving one-word answers, or just smiling whenever someone tries to strike up a conversation. Mostly, she makes some excuse and just doesn't show up. Because of this, my brother has also stopped attending the family gatherings as much as before. My parents are very disappointed with this, and my brother's absence makes them visibly upset. I've asked my brother about it and has always maintained that sister-in-law is very introverted and has social anxiety, and that is not gonna force her into doing something she doesn't like. Next week is our dad's 70th birthday, and of course my brother and his family are invited. This is supposed to be a grand event with all of our extended family going on a weekend trip. But yesterday, sister-in-law texted me saying that she won't be coming for the trip. The conversation went something like this. Sister-in-law, hey, I'm so sorry, but something urgent has come up and I won't be able to attend the event. Is it gonna be only your brother? Me, at least niece is coming, right? Sister-in-law, oh, I would love for her to attend, but she's saying that she won't attend without me. Me, then why don't you stop being a stuck-up witch for once and attend the event, since it would mean a lot to my dad if the entire family was there. Sister-in-law didn't respond after that. A few minutes later, I got a call from my brother and he was furious. He said that the way I talked to his wife was very disrespectful and that he will not be coming for the trip until I apologize. I refused to apologize because I felt this was long overdue. So now brother isn't coming for the trip. My dad thinks I should apologize, but my mom thinks I did the right thing. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Maybe your sister-in-law doesn't want to hang out with you because you suck. For real, I'm sure sister-in-law gets vibes that they all hate her. I think it's hilarious that OP posted this thinking they were in the right. Entitled, Narcissistic People Always Think That Way. Info, where was she acting stuck up? Because I don't see it anywhere in this post. She wasn't. I'm pretty sure OP and her family think she's stuck up because she isn't comfortable hanging out with them. You're the a-hole. As your brother said, his wife has social anxiety. You've now further alienated her by calling her a stuck-up witch. I sure as hell wouldn't want to go to a family gathering after being called that. This. Social anxiety can make it difficult to do necessary things like hold down a job, go grocery shopping, or even send texts or emails. If sister-in-law is expending her energy and trying to live her life and function enough to take care of her family and herself, I'm not at all surprised that she can't attend demanding family events. It's a matter of unable, not unwilling.